She discovered a hidden connection at the wrong table. An incredible twist changed everything. Emma swayed through the crowded diner, a plate of pancakes precariously balanced in one hand, while the other brushed a stray hair from her face. The evening rush had transformed into a chaotic symphony of clinking silverware and muffled laughter. As a determined 22-year-old waitress juggling class schedules and long shifts, each day felt like a tightrope walk between dreams and reality. Beneath the frenzy of orders, her heart ached with the knowledge of her mother's failing health. A relentless reminder that every moment wasted was a step further from the medical career she craved. But beyond the strain of her responsibilities lay an unforeseen twist of fate, a night that would change everything. Stumbling into the upscale restaurant next door to help when the staff was short-handed, Emma felt the stark contrast of her world to those around her. The laughter and chatter among affluent customers who ordered gourmet dishes clawed at her. Overhead, the remnants of elegant chandeliers swayed in time with her throbbing heart, each pulse echoing a dissonance between their lives and hers. As she served the food, she overheard snippets of a conversation. Words like scholarship and underprivileged floated like lifebuoys, significant amongst the meaningless clamor. She leaned in closer, her ears straining, desperate for any hint of hope. Caught amidst the negotiation of privilege and opportunity, Emma's breath hitched. A prestigious scholarship, perfect for someone just like her, burdened with life's hardships, and a dream masked by the weight of judgment from wealthier classmates. Could this be her escape? Yet, an unsettling tension coiled tight around her chest. Accepting help felt like surrender, like falling prey to the very biases she fought against daily. She felt the eyes of her peers, the scornful whispers of her inadequacies, echoing louder each day she struggled to prove her worth. Suddenly her phone buzzed violently on the counter. Recognizing the number instantly, dread settled deep within her. She answered, heart racing. It was her brother. Their mother's condition had escalated rapidly. A hospital visit was now a dire necessity. Emma's world spiraled as the reality of her family's financial strain enveloped her. The pangs of anxiety clawed at her. What could she do? How could she balance her responsibilities while ensuring her mother's care? Through the haze of worry, Emma's mind flickered to her family's past. A hidden legacy, a medical foundation established by our ancestors, aimed at uplifting students like her, floated to the surface. The thought of her uncle, a man she had barely known, emerged. Resolute and dressed by grief, she vowed to confront him about the foundation. But standing at his lavish home, she felt the walls closing around her, coiling like a viper. How could she bridge the very divide that had kept them apart? Just as they both began to talk, the air thickened with unsaid words. Their discussions quickly devolved into a clash of ideals, each exchanging barbs of their different realities. And then, like thunder from a clear sky, the foundation suddenly offered her the scholarship. Her mind whirled. A golden opportunity dangled before her, but at what cost? The chilling prospect of becoming what she despised loomed large. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma stood at a precipice, wrestling with herself. To grasp the scholarship might mean sacrificing her integrity for a fleeting chance at her dream. But to refuse it felt like closing the door on a lifeline, her world trembling under the pressure of unanswered questions. A pair of eyes behind her, a familiar face, caught her attention, igniting a flicker of hope. But the uncertainty of who it was only heightened the tension. What secrets awaited her as she stared into the abyss of her family's legacy? And would she emerge whole or shattered in the pursuit of a life that felt increasingly out of reach? Emma swallowed hard, emotions churning as she faced the unrelenting clash within her. The familiar face now stood beside her, eyes glimmering with concern. It was Lila, her childhood best friend, who had always embodied the world Emma longed to transcend. Yet tonight, Lila represented something more, a mirror of the path not taken, and a subtle encouragement to seize the moment. "What's going on?" Lila asked, her gentle voice nearly drowned out by the din of the diner. Emma hesitated, grappling with the weight of the truth to share. Here stood someone who had never doubted her, but did she dare unearth the vulnerable parts of her heart? I got a scholarship offer," she finally confessed, her words heavy with implications. Lila's face brightened. "That sounds amazing. Why are you so—" "It's from my uncle's foundation," Emma blurted out, cutting her friend off. Well, you know the history. It's all tangled with everything we avoided for years." Confusion clouded Lila's brow. "Emma, this is an incredible opportunity. Why would you turn it down?" "Because it feels wrong," Emma spat, the tension spilling over as the emotional dam threatened to break. "What if accepting it means I'm just playing into their narrative? It's hard to explain, but it feels like giving in to all the judgments I've faced, all the assumptions about what I should be." Lila stepped back for a moment, as if Emma's words had physically pushed her away. "I get that, but isn't this your chance? If you don't take it, you might regret it. You're not asking for a handout. You're using what's available to achieve your dreams." Regret clawed at Emma's chest, mingling with new determination. This was a turning point, a decision that could define her future. She sensed her mother's faint smile, a glimmer of support woven into the very fabric of her worries. Perhaps this was not just about her, but also about the generations of women before her who had fought for the right to dream. Was it possible to take this chance without losing her integrity? An idea began to form in her mind. She could visit the foundation, delve deeply into what it stood for, and learn more about the scholarships. Instead of backing away from the challenge, she would embrace it while remaining true to herself. The possibilities were suddenly tantalizing. Emma gathered her thoughts. She had skills that remained untapped. She was resourceful and resilient, traits that could refashion her narrative. "Lila, I need to take control of this," Emma asserted, the fire reigniting within her as clarity surged. "I'm going to find out everything I can about the foundation, its values, and really understand the impact it's having. If it aligns with my beliefs, then I'll apply. But it's my choice made on my terms." Lila nodded slowly, a thoughtful smile spreading across her face. "That's the Emma I know. Don't let anything silence your voice, especially not a past you didn't choose." As if propelled by newfound vigor, Emma glanced around the diner, her heart racing with purpose. The noise faded into a faint background hum. She envisioned herself standing before her family's foundation, not as a reluctant participant, but as a prospective leader, serving those who had once been like her. But before she could share her plan with Lila, her phone vibrated again. Another message, this one from her brother, surged through the tension in her chest. "Mom's condition worsened. I need your decision. Can you get here?" Emma's stomach twisted. She had to face her brother, and a dilemma that loomed larger than her aspirations. This time, it wouldn't be about her choices. It would be about the people she loved and the place they occupied in the world. With resolve, she turned to Lila, who watched her intently, unsure yet supportive. "I need to think and act fast about my mom," Emma admitted. "But I'm serious about reclaiming my future. Whatever I do next, it will be with purpose." As she stepped away, shifting back into the whirlpool of uncertainty mingled with hope, Emma felt the pull even stronger, not just toward her dreams, but also toward a sense of agency over her life. The final decision was still ahead, looming like the precipice she had been dancing on. What awaited her beyond the decision was still unknown, but Emma was ready to confront whatever shadows lingered in her family's legacy. Time was ticking. Would she take the leap into the future, or be pulled back by the past? Seconds ticked by, each moment charged with promise and potential. There stood a new path, but what unexpected revelations lay ahead as she made her choice? Emma's heart raced as she hurried through the familiar streets, each step punctuated by a growing resolve. The urgency of her brother's message weighed heavily upon her, but so did the potential of the scholarship. Each heartbeat echoed reminders of her mother's fragile condition and the sacrifices made for family, a bedrock of conflicting loyalties. As she reached the modest family home, the prospect of facing her brother, the one person who elicited mixed feelings of pride and guilt, loomed large. The front door creaked as she entered, the scent of antiseptic and something culinary intermingling in the air. Her brother, Jake, stood in the kitchen, his expression etched with worry, eyes flitting from the stove to the clock. Emma felt the tension radiating from him, piercing through her own uncertainty like a shard of glass. "Where have you been?" he asked, voice taut. "I needed to talk to you." "About Mom?" she ventured, her own anxiety spilling into her tone. His silence was a weight, anchoring the air between them. The kitchen seemed a universe away from the energetic diner where Emma had found some clarity with Lila. Here, in this space steeped in family dynamics, Every moment felt magnified, a precious yet fragile glass structure quivering in a storm. "We can't wait for the doctors to fix this. We need to act," he insisted, frustration peeking through his controlled demeanor. "Time isn't on our side." Emma nodded, wishing she could devise a plan, a roadmap to secure not only their mother's health, but also her own future. "I know. I can be there for her, but I also have to face the Foundation's offer. Jake, I can't avoid it." The instinct to shield her vulnerability clashed with the weight of her ambitions. "What if you commit yourself and it doesn't matter? Are you really considering it, Emma?" He stepped closer, and for a fleeting moment, she caught a glimpse of the little brother she'd always protected, desperate for assurance, frightened by the fragility of life. "This is my chance, Jake. What I'm going through is, did you ever think it might be my way to finally step out of the shadows?" Her voice trembled, not with fear but with the urgency of awakening. She wanted him to understand. This decision was hers to make, and must not douse her rediscovered flame. But at what cost? Jake's stare drilled into her, seeking answers. "You're talking about going back into a world you fought so hard to leave behind." The notion thrummed in her veins, a mix of dread and defiance. "What if the scholarship could help change the narrative? If I understand their values, I might actually be able to steer things in a different direction. Not as a pawn, but potentially leading the way towards new opportunities. But they're not just credits on a piece of paper. They're tied to our history," he pointed out, frustration spilling over. "Do you really want to be a part of that legacy? The one we've spent years walking away from?" Finding her breath, Emma took a step back, compounding the space between them. "That's exactly what I need to unravel, to define it for myself." The resolve stung like an open wound, deadened for too long yet stirring to life. Suddenly a piercing ring stole their gaze, a sudden interruption that resurrected the tension. Emma's phone lit up again, an unexpected text spilling through the ambience. "Who is it now?" Jake asked sharply. Emma hesitated, a hint of excitement washing over her. "It's from Lila. She's found out something about the Foundation that could change everything." "What now?" he scoffed, arms crossed defensively. "She's digging deeper into that web? You need to be careful." "I need to decide what part I want to play." Emma felt steadfast in her belief. She pressed her finger to the screen, urgency guiding her choice. "Whatever she's discovered, I can't let this chance slip. Not again." As she read the text, everything inside her coiled tighter, alive with possibilities. "She says it's about that hidden connection we never knew about." Jake's brows furrowed, suspicion surfacing as he peered at her. Emma sensed the weight of the revelation hanging in the air, threaded with uncertainty and the smell of home. With determination she stepped away, heart pounding with the prospect of revelation amid familial tension. What truth might her friend expose that could tether her to the very Foundation she feared? Emma was about to breach the walls surrounding both opportunity and family, and she could only hope that this time she wouldn't lose herself in the process. As she typed a reply, the stakes felt infinitely higher. Would this quest uncover shadows in the family legacy, or expose an opportunity she'd never anticipated? Emma's hand trembled with anticipation, embracing the unpredictable narratives ahead. Emma's fingers danced over her phone's screen, heart racing as she absorbed Lila's message. The gravity of her friend's discovery loomed large, revealing a thread woven into the very fabric of her family's past, a connection she had never fathomed. The air thickened with unspoken queries, waiting to be unearthed. "Do you trust her?" Jake's voice pulled her back, the skepticism in his tone slicing through her resolve like a serrated knife. "Trust isn't the issue," Emma replied, steadiness gaining ground in her voice. "It's about facing the truth. I can't ignore these connections anymore." Every syllable bore the weight of her decision, a testament to the inner battle raging within her. "But what if it all only complicates things?" Jake countered, his expression a blend of concern and frustration. "We need a plan, Emma. Not another rabbit hole." Emma could feel the skepticism leaching into her bones, but beneath it lay a flicker of something brighter, a yearning for clarification, for purpose. She wasn't just someone caught in familial ties. She was an active participant in the choices ahead. She inhaled deeply, the scent of fading culinary notes blending with the anxious energy sparking in her chest. "We can't keep skirting the past. If this connection could change my approach to the Foundation, this could redefine everything." Jake ran a hand through his hair, an unconscious gesture of defeat combined with an attempt at understanding. And how do you plan on using it to steer your future? Emma had anticipated this question, each facet of her strategy slowly crystallizing in her mind. I need to reach out to Lila. She hinted at a piece of their strategy we might leverage. If I can use this to my advantage. The words tumbled out with newfound courage, passion igniting her thoughts. With Lila's insight, this would not just be about grappling with an old legacy, but transforming it into something progressive, something impactful. But why risk it all? Jake's tone softened, but the wariness remained. It's a gamble against everything we've built our lives around. Life is a gamble, Jake, Emma shot back, a fire igniting in her chest. If I don't confront this now, how can I expect to carve out the life I want? What's the point of running if I don't run towards something? She could sense Jake contemplating her defiance, the wheels turning behind his guarded eyes. And if this leads us back to where we started? To the very foundation we ran from? Then I'll take it head on, she affirmed, her voice steady. But not without knowing the truth first. I owe it to Mom, and to myself, to figure out what really lies ahead. The tension in the room was palpable, every second stretching like elastic on the verge of snapping. Emma's phone buzzed again, sending a jolt of adrenaline coursing through her veins. She could feel Jake's eyes on her, weighing the decision. Could he allow his sister to dive deeper into the water they had once sworn to avoid? With steely resolve, Emma steeled her heart and reached for her phone, fingers trembling but mind focused. Her response to Lila flowed effortlessly as she began to formulate a plan that could either lead to enlightenment or catastrophe. She winced at the implication of both. Life presented no easy answers. Just be cautious, Jake finally said, an undercurrent of vulnerability lacing his tone. You've only just started finding your way. Don't let this pull you under. I won't, she promised, though the uncertainty of the path ahead marred the simple conviction of the statement. With each word typed, she felt herself slipping deeper into a maze riddled with hidden doors and potential traps. However, for once, Emma recognized the risk as the very essence of her growth. If the truth about her family's connection could be her guiding light, or if it could expose long-buried secrets, then so be it. As she pressed send, the echo of her message reverberated with the energy of 1,000 potential futures, intertwining courage and doubt, anticipation and anxiety. What awaited her in this new journey? Emma inhaled sharply, contemplating the magnitude of what was at stake. With urgency flickering like a flame poised to go out, she grabbed her coat, determination propelling her to the door. I'm going to meet Lila. I need to know. As she stepped outside, the chill of the evening air wrapped around her like an awakening embrace. Each step felt deliberate, the weight of her choices honing her awareness. What awaited her could either forge a path to the empowerment she craved, or unravel the very fabric of her life as she knew it. Would she uncover the revelation that could set her free, or was the truth a monster waiting to rear its head? Emma quickened her pace, heart pounding against the rhythmic pulse of uncertainty and possibility that lay ahead, ready to unleash her inner strength. The cafe buzzed with life as Emma walked through the door. A cacophony of laughter and conversation swirled around her. Yet, the sound faded into a dull hum against the backdrop of her racing thoughts. She spotted Lila at a corner table, tapping her fingers nervously against the surface. A mixture of excitement and apprehension etched across her features. Emma's pulse quickened. This could be the moment where the uncertainties began to resolve. She forced herself to take a steadying breath and approach the table, her mind swirling with questions. Hey, she greeted Lila, sliding into the chair opposite her. Hey, Lila flashed a tentative smile. I'm glad you could make it. I wasn't sure if you'd actually come. Emma studied her friend, noticing the way Lila fidgeted with her coffee cup, a telltale sign that she bore weighty information. You sounded urgent in your message. What did you uncover? Lila took a moment, her gaze flitting away as if seeking the right words. It's about your family. There are things you don't know, connections that could change how you view everything. With a knife of anxiety cutting through her exhilaration, Emma leaned forward, eager. Tell me everything. Thus began Lila's recounting, a narrative laden with revelations about family ties Emma had never contemplated. As Lila unfolded layers of history intertwined with powerful figures and past grievances, Emma felt herself teetering on the edge of a cliff, peering into the abyss of her lineage. Every piece of information resided within permutations of betrayal and loyalty, twisting in a chaotic dance. Emma realized that each truth Lila divulged was a thread leading deeper into the tangled web of her family's past. It was intoxicating. As the conversation flowed, Lila indicated a segment of strategy that once had been discussed among Emma's ancestors. They had plans that echoed through generations, aiming to reshape the foundations of the community. It was controversial, and you have the opportunity to revive it, on your own terms. Emma felt a rush of adrenaline, a sensibility of reclaiming her roots while redefining them. She could see the potential this held, the enlightenment that could rise from the ashes of a legacy marked by controversy. Her desire to carve out a meaningful life flickered like a bright flame, ignited by the possibility of drawing from history to create a brighter future. Yet lurking beneath the surface was a grotesque fear that threatened to devour her optimism. Was she prepared to face the implications of these discoveries? Would pursuing this path pull her away from the life she had fought to establish? "Do you think it's worth it?" Emma asked, spilling her insecurities into the space between them. Lila pursed her lips, her voice steadying like a beacon in a storm. "It's worth whatever you're willing to fight for, Emma. That's the essence of growth. Are you ready to confront your past?" The question lingered, anchoring Emma firmly to the moment. Was she ready? Her heart surged with the realization that true empowerment came from understanding, from grappling with the demons of lineage and legacy. "Emma," Lila's voice broke through her reverie, "you're not only a product of your past, you have the power to redefine it. It starts here, and it starts now." Determination coursed through Emma like fuel onto a fire. She envisioned a future burgeoning with potential, a revival of the foundation, honoring her familial ties while casting them into a light of modernity and hope. But even as conviction bloomed in her heart, equal parts doubt curled around her resolve. If the past lay deeper than she imagined, what other secrets could surface? Would others resist her transformation? The urgency of her decision thickened in the air. Emma took a deep breath, ready to respond, but the moment felt charged. What if I uncovered something I'm not prepared for? Lila met her gaze directly, unyielding. "Then you face it. It's time to reclaim your narrative, whatever it holds." Emma's heart raced, engaging with her history, challenging her fears. This was not just a mission. It was her evolution encapsulated in a single, swirling moment of clarity. Resolute, she exhaled slowly, preparing herself for the journey ahead. The whisper of her phone interrupted the silence, flashing another message from Jake. Emma hesitated, the weight of Lila's words still lingering. What awaited her beyond the veil of her family's history? She dared to look further, heart pounding with anticipation. As she unlocked her phone, a potent question hovered on the cusp of her thoughts. What new revelations were waiting to shatter her understanding of the life she fought to live? Emma stared at the screen, her heartbeat echoing the void that loose words left in her mind. Jake's message simply read, "Can we talk? ASAP." A tension thrummed through her, and she glanced back at Lila, who had picked up on Emma's sudden shift in focus. "You should answer him," Lila encouraged, her eyes assessing. "You know you need to figure out where he stands, especially now." A knot twisted in Emma's stomach. What could Jake possibly want? A part of her ached to dismiss him, to dive into exploring her own layered history first, but another part whispered strategic wisdom. Their relationship hung by a thread, and she couldn't indulge in evasive thoughts while clinging to the past. With a heavy breath, Emma typed a quick response. "Meet me at the cafe in 30? She hit send before her doubts clouded her decision. "Everything all right?" Lila prompted, her brow furrowing in concern. Emma forced a smile, hoping to mask her unease. "Yeah, just a few things to navigate. You know how complicated life can get." Lila nodded, folding her hands in front of her. "You have choices to make, Emma, but don't forget, you have the power to rewrite your definition of success based on these discoveries." Emma held her gaze. Lila's unwavering support flickered a path forward. "It's just, if I'm diving into my family's history, shouldn't I assure every aspect of my life is in order first? Shouldn't I know what I'm facing in the present?" "Maybe. But you can't let uncertainty paralyze you. The past doesn't equate to obligation, only opportunity." Lila's conviction ignited something inside Emma, a subtle yet fierce spark. She had spent years forging her narrative, one paved by independence and personal achievement. This next step, merging her lineage with her current self, could become the ultimate testament to her power of choice. With renewed focus, Emma decided it was time to explore the labyrinth of her family's past. Not as an obligation, but as a strategy to carve her future. But standing on the precipice of revelation, also meant she had to tread carefully, armed with the knowledge that this journey would evoke external and internal confrontations. As she rose to leave the table, something unexpected caught her peripheral vision. A figure at the entrance. A man she recognized instantly. Sean. He had always had an endearing charm that masked the seriousness of his ambitions. Every interaction with him had danced on the line between professional and personal, a line that had become increasingly blurred since their last encounter at the community meeting months ago. "Emma!" Sean's voice cut through the cafe noise, vibrant and exuberant. "I didn't know you'd be here." Emma's stomach fluttered as she waved him over, her brief dalliance with uncertainty momentarily fading under the warmth of their history. Lila shot her a knowing smile. "Hey, Sean, just catching up with Lila." "What brings you here?" Emma inquired, her tone welcoming but careful. Sean leaned against the chair opposite them, an energy about him that made her pulse quicken. "I'm looking for you. I've heard about your family and the ideas circulating. We could use someone with your skills on the project I'm spearheading." "Project?" Emma's interest piqued, but curiosity mixed uneasily with apprehension. She didn't know where Sean had gathered such information, or how deeply her family's past tied to this endeavor. "Yeah, it's a revitalization plan for the downtown area. You could help shape a vision based on everything you've uncovered," he elaborated, his eyes shining with possibility. Emma felt a wave of conflicting emotions. On one hand, the revival project offered a tangible way to engage with her family's legacy. On the other, there was something unsettling about being tied to Sean's ambitions again. The prospect was intoxicating yet venomous. As she hesitated, Lila leaned in closer, whispering, "Do you want to embrace this opportunity or not? This could define your role in both the present and the past." Emma found herself at the crossroads of opportunity and trepidation. Chance encounters loomed like shadows, dangerous yet exhilarating. "Let me think about it," she finally answered Sean, her confidence wavering just slightly. "Of course, just don't take too long. The clock is ticking." He winked before standing, leaving Emma flushed with uncertainty as he departed. She turned to Lila, who wore a contemplative expression. "Was that the kick you needed?" Emma furrowed her brow, the pressure of decisions weighing heavier than moments before. "I'm not sure yet. There's so much I don't know. But now doors are opening. Doors I might not be prepared for." Their conversation lay suspended, the air thick with unspoken possibilities. This newfound connection and Sean's proposal could serve as a pivot, or a trap. Emma gathered her thoughts, uncertainty swirling within. What would her choice mean not just for her professional aspirations but her personal journey? How deep did her family's past intertwine with her future? Every moment felt critical, a stepping stone toward either clarity or chaos. As she prepared to confront Jake and potentially face more revelations, a question lingered. Was this the moment that would either shape her into the woman she wanted to become, or shatter everything she held dear? The time was approaching for a painful gut check. Could she handle what was coming? And what weight would her next decisions carry? Emma's thoughts spiraled as she approached the cafe. The air was thick with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and the anxious hum of conversation. She didn't crave caffeine. Rather, she sought clarity that seemed to elude her grasp. The realities of the past and her fractured relationship with Jake loomed over her like an oppressive cloud, but the weight of Sean's proposition clung to her like a lingering perfume, both enticing and overwhelming. When she spotted Jake sitting at a corner table, his fidgeting fingers resting on the table's edge, her heart raced. He was not just a reminder of what once was. He was a keystroke in her narrative, still capable of changing her story. A part of her wanted to turn back, to retreat into the comforting shadows of indecision, but there was no turning back now. She was on the brink of redefining her identity, and that transformation required confronting every fragment she had carefully shielded. "Hey," she said softly as she slid into the chair opposite him. Jake's eyes flickered, uncertainty etched on his brow. "Thanks for coming." "Of course," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been thinking a lot about us." Emma measured his words carefully. Memories of late-night conversations and plans they once held were still vivid, yet uncertainty clouded what they meant now. "I've been thinking too. It's just complicated." He nodded, a shadow passing over his face. "With everything that's been happening, I feel like we've lost sight of what we had. I need to know if there's still something worth salvaging." The vulnerability in his tone struck her. Yet, as keenly as she felt that crack in the foundation of their relationship, it was the shock of Sean's proposal that made her heart race even faster. Can I be honest? She started, squaring her shoulders, needing to express her truth just as much as he did. I've felt stuck, Jake. I'm navigating family histories I never asked for, and it's pulling me in directions I never planned on. His brow wrinkled. Is this about Sean? I heard he's been reaching out to you. That's part of it, yes, she admitted, the truth slipping out like a secret she had been guarding. There's a project he's working on that might tie into everything I'm discovering about my family. Jake's expression shifted, a mix of skepticism and concern. Emma, are you really thinking of getting involved with him? Is that what your family's history has come down to? Don't make it personal, Jake, she shot back, frustration surging. I'm trying to connect the dots for myself. This isn't about you or Sean. It's about me figuring out who I am and what I want. A silence settled between them, thick and suffocating. Emma's breath lingered in her chest, heavy with unarticulated fears and unmade choices. Could engaging with her family's legacy, through Sean or any other means, be her ultimate liberation? Or would it ensnare her further in a web of confusion? Maybe we should both think about what we really want, Jake eventually suggested, a sigh escaping his lips. It feels like we're both at a turning point, but I don't want to pressure you. I just need to know, do you want us to be part of each other's paths? That question lingered, heavy and electric. Emma could see now how intertwined their lives had become, but so much hung in the balance. Her desire to step forward was tempered by the risks involved in both revealing her past and risking the familiar bond they shared. I don't know, she stammered. Right now I need to figure out this project and what's happening with my family. That's where my focus is. He nodded slowly, and she could see the disappointment in his eyes. It broke something inside her, yet she stood firm, knowing that prioritizing her journey was not entirely selfish. As they resumed their conversation, tentatively mapping the ambiguous spaces between them, Emma felt a flicker of resolve intermingled with her confusion. She understood that to break free of her past, she had to confront both her family's narratives and her relationship with Jake head-on. But as she glanced away from the table, she realized that her decisions were not merely for herself anymore. Each choice teetered on the cusp of transforming everything she had ever known. She just needed to navigate with care through this uncharted territory, ensuring that her next steps defined her, not the shadows of others. With resolve, she promised herself to chart a new course, but a voice echoed in the back of her mind. What if the truth she unearthed only led to more chaos, more heartbreak? A sudden movement distracted her as someone stepped through the cafe door, another familiar face that could alter her path entirely. Her breath caught in her throat. Could this be another intersecting storyline? Or worse yet, a confrontation she hadn't prepared for? The stakes were rising, and Emma could feel the delicate balance of her journey hanging in the balance. What secrets awaited her next? As Emma's gaze darted toward the newcomer at the cafe, her heart thumped loudly in her chest. The figure was unmistakable. Lila, her estranged cousin, whom she hadn't seen in years. Their childhood summers spent together playing in the backyard felt like lifetimes ago. But the tension of unspoken grievances clouded her feelings now, alongside confusion and unease. Lila approached with a tentative smile, glancing between Emma and Jake, who shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Emma, I didn't expect to see you here," Lila chirped, her bright demeanor contrasting sharply with the heavy atmosphere. "Mind if I join?" Emma hesitated, unsure if she wanted to invite childhood memories and unresolved family feuds into this already tumultuous conversation. "Actually, we were—" "Of course, have a seat," Jake interrupted, his tone surprisingly encouraging. Emma shot him a questioning glance, but he merely tilted his head slightly, as if trying to gauge her reaction. The weight of Lila's unexpected arrival forced Emma to confront yet another layer of her familial narrative. She opened her mouth to protest but found herself unable to voice her reservations. Instead, she just nodded towards the third chair, a wave of indecision crashing over her. Lila settled in with a bright enthusiasm, her presence simultaneously comforting and disruptive. "So, what are you two discussing? The family tree, or just the usual? Gossip? I overhauled our grandma's records, and you'd be shocked at what I discovered." At that moment, Emma felt a mix of irritation and intrigue bloom inside her. Lila's eagerness felt like a spark against the mundane surroundings of the cafe, pulling back the veil on the family history that Emma had been skirting around. "Actually, I've been thinking more about where I fit into all of that," Emma replied, composing a fragile facade of bravery. "It seems like there might be more to uncover." Uncover? Lila leaned forward, a glimmer of excitement lighting her features. Oh, Emma, you have no idea. There's so much history, things nobody has told you about, secrets, lies. You need to hear everything. Jake's face fell slightly as he sensed the shift in Emma's focus, now veering away from their conversation into an unpredictable territory of family intrigue. His insecurity mixed with disappointment, making it difficult for Emma to concentrate. Lila, what do you mean? What secrets? Emma pressed, curiosity getting the better of her caution. This could be the key to understanding the fragmented pieces of her identity that she had been grappling with for so long. Remember Uncle Frank? Lila began, her voice low, drawing Emma in. There were whispers about his sudden departure from the family years ago, but no one knew the truth. I found a letter, something our grandparents kept hidden. It ties to our roots, and of a legacy they wanted to bury. You might be caught in the crosshairs of something much bigger than we ever anticipated. As Lila's words painted a picture rich with intrigue and betrayal, the cafe began to fade around Emma. The steam from their coffee seemed to curl away, leaving only the reality of what she could pursue. A deeper connection to her family's past, one that might redefine her journey going forward. In that moment of revelation, Emma recognized her own courage swelling within her chest. This was not simply about reconciling with Jake or embracing Sean's proposal. This was about reclaiming her narrative, taking back the autonomy that had felt elusive, and unraveling the mysterious strands of her heritage. But with this new avenue of exploration came implications she hadn't anticipated. Was Lila's discovery merely a familial connection, or did it signal a reckoning that could destabilize everything Emma thought she knew? A darker echo of doubt settled in her mind. What if Lila's findings brought more chaos than clarity? As Lila leaned closer, her eyes glimmering with unearthly excitement, Emma felt a deep-seated resolve crisscross with an unsettling dread. The walls of her reality seemed both solid and fragile, balancing precariously on the edge of revelation. Emma, Lila said earnestly, cutting through the layers of Emma's contemplations. This could change everything. Are you ready for what comes next? Emma inhaled sharply, the air thick with anticipation. She was ready to confront the truths of her family, but the excess baggage of emotions loomed heavily. If she ventured down this path, would she discover herself anew, or would it lead to the unraveling of everything she held dear? With every decision made, a new twist seemed to arise. She knew she would have to choose her next steps carefully. Each one could lead her further into the heart of the danger she was beginning to sense. And in that moment, embracing the unknown didn't feel so frightening. It felt like the first breath of freedom she had yearned for. Would she take that leap? An internal battle surged within her as Lila's words lingered in the air like an unmade promise. Emma sensed that the moment of truth lay just ahead, but the question became, what price would she pay to uncover her past? As Emma stared at Lila, a multitude of thoughts clashed in her mind. The blend of dread and curiosity mirrored a tempest brewing just beyond the horizon, one that promised both upheaval and potential revelation. She felt unmoored, teetering between the uncertainty of her past and the possibilities of her future. What does the letter say? Emma found herself asking, her heart racing as she leaned closer, all caution slipping through her fingers like sand. The urge to reclaim her narrative, to dismantle the wall of silence surrounding her family, overrode any lingering hesitation. Lila's eyes sparkled, the promise of secrets igniting something fierce within Emma. I didn't read all of it yet, but it mentions a family agenda, something purposeful hidden from us for years. Her voice lowered conspiratorially, inviting Emma into a world fraught with shadows. It's intertwined with our lives in ways we can't fathom. We might have a legacy waiting to be reclaimed. Emma's instincts urged her to dive deeper into this unknown territory, but the gravity of Lila's words weighed heavily on her. Did she truly want to peel back the layers of her family's past? The prospect of revealing truths long buried stirred both excitement and trepidation. Yet how could she proceed without knowing what darkness lay hidden beneath the surface? Lila, I need to understand. Was Uncle Frank really who he appeared to be? Emma's voice barely broke through the weight of tension. The memory of the family gatherings, tinted with whispers of Frank's eccentricities and abrupt departure, filled her with unease. Lila shrugged, a knowing smile curling at her lips. That's just it. He was enigmatic, and this seems all too deliberate. We have to piece together what really happened before we can confront it. As the cafe hummed with muffled conversations and the aroma of brewed coffee, Emma vividly felt her world splintering and reforming around her. Jake's silence, burdened with skepticism, loomed large beside her. His gaze darted away, discomfort flattening the dynamic into awkwardness. He didn't want a confrontation. He wanted normalcy, a simple reconnection with her. But was normalcy even an option anymore? Emma, Jake finally broke in, his voice laced with concern. Maybe this isn't the best time for this. We've just started finding our rhythm again. Something inside Emma snapped to life in defiance. What rhythm are you talking about? Ignoring the past hasn't worked. I can't just pretend everything is fine, while pieces of my family's history threaten to surface and unravel everything I hold dear. The piercing honesty in her voice surprised even her. Emma's words hung like a banner of newfound strength, unsettling yet liberating. Clarity crept in as echoes of her childhood drifted away in the wake of her boldness. Unraveling these family secrets could illuminate her own identity, shifting the narrative from reactive to proactive. Yes, we should uncover the truth, Emma affirmed resolutely, turning back to Lila. She felt a chill tinged with exhilaration. Perhaps this revelation was not merely about her family, it was about reclaiming her voice, her power, and determining her own path. Let's get that letter, Emma declared as she squared her shoulders. Let's uncover whatever it is our grandparents tried to hide. As Emma spoke, an unfamiliar confidence surged within her. She was no longer floundering in uncertainty. She was ready to sculpt her story, even if it meant facing uncomfortable realities. The stakes had transformed from familial intrigue to personal growth, igniting a fiery ambition within her. Jake exhaled audibly, his apprehension evident. But what if it leads to a fallout we can't manage? He posed, seeking to tether her back to safety. Emma met his gaze, heart pounding. Each moment hung thick with the weight of her decision. Then I'll handle it. I have to know. The moment hung precariously as Lila responded with an eager nod, her eyes wide with anticipation. You won't regret this, Emma. This journey might just redefine everything about who you are. Shifting her attention back to the task ahead, Emma felt a sudden jolt. What remained within that letter? What contradictions awaited her, ready to challenge her view of herself and her family? One thing was clear. Venturing into the unknown was no longer simply an option. It was now the very essence of her quest. Unbeknown to her, the path ahead was fraught with more than just uncertainties about her family history. As secrets unfurled, she would find much more about herself than she anticipated. I'll call you later, she said decisively to Jake, a familiar resolve edging through her challenge, but not without its own pang of hesitation. Walking this path might lead her to construct a deeply rooted foundation, or it could summon a storm that would shake everything she knew. But deep down, Emma sensed that nothing would emerge unchanged, least of all herself. Her heart thumped, a steady rhythm of purpose as she prepared to leap into uncharted waters. And in the echoing silence left in her wake, she could almost hear the whispers of her past beckoning her forward. Emma stood at the threshold of transformation, her heart racing as she stepped out of the cafe and into the brisk evening air. The gravity of her recent decisions echoed in her mind, intertwining past revelations with future possibilities. The initial apprehension surrounding the hidden family letters now felt like a tool, a guiding force, rather than a danger. Upon returning home, Emma faced her brother Jake, who anxiously awaited her return in the living room. The air between them crackled with unspoken words. Her mind was a whirlpool of thoughts, the tension of familial expectations shifting toward autonomy. She had spent too long allowing the burdens of others to govern her decisions. I met with Lila, she began, the words pouring out like a dam finally releasing its water. She found something about Uncle Frank, something significant. It seems our family history isn't just about what we know. It's also about what has been intentionally hidden from us. Jake's brow furrowed, skepticism flashing in his eyes. Emma, what if digging into this leads to more pain? Our family has already endured so much. Emma's fleeting uncertainty battled against her burgeoning conviction. This is where I stand, Jake. I can't live in the shadows of our history anymore. If that means exposing uncomfortable truths, then so be it. I need to know and reclaim my narrative. His silence spoke volumes, but inside, she could sense an emotional shift. The tension between them softened just enough to allow the promise of change to emerge. The words she spoke were no longer just proclamations. They became commitments to herself. The following days unraveled with urgency. Each moment was tasked with exploring connections, processing the revelations, and deciding how to reclaim her future. Emma dove headfirst into the family's past, that foundational letter Lila unearthed guiding her journey. Conversations with relatives unearthed stories long muted by embarrassment or discomfort. As she began to piece together her family's legacy, she felt a profound shift within herself. Where once insecurity haunted her every decision, newfound confidence surged to the forefront. Her ambitions crystallized into tangible plans, beyond mere dreams. She envisioned a career in medicine intertwined with a project revitalizing her community through the lessons of her ancestry. Weeks passed, and she dedicated herself to applying for the scholarship. This foundation, once a source of internal conflict, transformed into an opportunity to act as an agent of change, not only for her future, but also for the family legacy she was determined to redefine. Finally, the day arrived when Emma received confirmation of her scholarship acceptance. Pride swelled in her chest as she glanced at the acceptance letter, each word a testament to her perseverance. It wasn't a handout, it was a footstep toward empowerment, a tool to forge her own identity. "See, I told you," Lila exclaimed, her voice thick with pride as they stood together, the emotion palpable in the air around them. "You did this on your terms, Emma. This is just the beginning." In that moment, Emma realized this journey was not solely about the past. It was about weaving her family's threads into an empowered future. The dynamics with Jake changed too. There was a newfound respect between them as he acknowledged her ability to navigate this complex landscape of familial expectations and personal aspirations. "I'm proud of you, sis," Jake confessed during one of their evening talks. "Seeing you embrace your history instead of shying away from it? It's inspiring. I hope you know you're doing this for yourself, not just the family name." This was the moment of genuine breakthrough for Emma. She had not only transformed her understanding of her family's legacy, but also carved a space for herself within it. She felt solid confidence wrapping around her, a recognition of not just who she had been, but who she had become. The ripple effects of her choices began to bloom like spring flowers, revealing potential and growth. Emma observed familiar faces in the community, friends, childhood neighbors, who looked to her with admiration. She was no longer tethered to their judgments. She had established herself as a cornerstone of strength. As she thrived within the momentum of change, she scheduled one final visit, to the foundation. Standing before the prominent building, she felt an electric sense of agency. She was not merely there to receive help. She was there to lead, to reshape the narrative and inspire others to follow their dreams, to uncover the stories that had been buried. Emma took a deep breath, recalling the uncertainty she had felt in that diner weeks ago. The pressure of expectations contrasted sharply with the clarity that now filled her. She had conquered her fears and transformed them into a profound, newfound purpose. Her journey was far from over, but she was equipped now, not just with knowledge of her history, but with the solid grounding of her own identity, a clarity that would ensure she never lost herself again. Emma stepped forth into the Foundation's office, ready to embrace not only her legacy, but to inspire others chasing their own paths. This was her time to shine, to share her voice and ignite change, both for herself and for the future awaiting her. Now more than ever, Emma understood the importance of adhering to her goals, and she was ready to fulfill them with unwavering resolve. As she walked out of the building, she felt the weight of her past only strengthen her present. She was ready for anything, and for those on the brink of their own transformations, she urged them to embrace your history, to engage fiercely with your future, and to never let fear dictate your journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of backing the journey ahead.